Welcome to Samoski Winter to another CoH2 replay cast. Gonna be sent in by Earth, who's gonna be playing as OKW in the southwestern side of the map. And on the enemy team, we're gonna have CoHCast playing as Americans. So we have an interesting matchup as Samoski Winter is a pretty big map for a 1v1, but it is one that has its own quirks. As you can see, it has a lot of ice, and Earth going for a Cuba wagon instantly. Now I completely agree with this decision, as on this map, a Cuba wagon will be a good tool to harass on both ends of the map, where there's a lot of open space where you can pretty much harass points like this one that not many players manage to defend, because of generally the width of the map is very much too big for a 1v1 player to cover at all. So a harassment unit like this Cuba wagon is going to help them get a lot of map control going early on into the game and continue being useful later on as a harassment tool. So this is definitely an excellent choice. Now CoHCast going for 2 rifleman squads and sending them, interestingly enough, to sending his squads pretty much on all sides of the map. He's going to be spreading out. He's going to be sending in his rear echelons on the left side to get to control of the fuel point. Of course, this fuel point is cut off by this strategic point over here. It is a cutoff point, as is this other fuel point. It's cut off by this strategic point over here. So you always want to be keeping control of both this point and this point. Though this point is a little bit more exposed, but more easily defensible. It is more in range of whatever defensive units you're going to have protecting this fuel point. But this strategic point is less defensible because of distance, but it is in general a little bit safer because it's, of course, farther away from the enemy, whereas this one is right next to the enemy base. So that's pretty much the difference between the two. Now, a nice rifleman squad are going to be heading into this house. I'm not really sure. Oh, nicely baiting in the Storm Pioneers. That was a good choice by Coast to just keep them guessing as to whether or not they actually were retreating. Now he's going to be bringing in the second rifleman squad to harass, or rather smash, this Storm Pioneer. Very, very nice first engagement for the Americans. Going to be winning that fairly handily, only taking a little bit of damage on these riflemen, no model losses, and taking out half of the Storm Pioneer squad models and also a little bit of the HP. Now, on the right side, the Cuba wagon is already proving its worth, taking a lot of points and capturing the right side VP for the Germans, thus allowing them to strike the first blows to the enemy VP count. This is good for them. Now, in the center, the Americans are committing to a very bad fight at long range against Volkswagen with heavy cover and buildings. So this is not a fight that riflemen will win any day. The center is a very, very dangerous place for the Americans to fight in, unless you can manage to get out a lot of flanks, until you get a lot of VARs going, or pack howitzers to support your infantry in these long-range slugfests. They will not perform too well against Volksgrenadiers at all, even Volksgrenadiers. So against Wehrmacht it's even worse, as Grenadiers are even better at long range than Volksgrenadiers, and the MGs that the Wehrmacht can get right away are just very devastating in this kind of engagement. Now the Cuba wagon is going to be able to grab the cutoff point, the famous Samoski cutoff, but it will only cut off, well, it will actually cut off nothing, because right now Earth has control of everything up north, so this will not be any kind of big deal for the Americans. The Americans going for Heavy Cavalry Company as a doctrine selection right away. This is, of course, a doctrine that is good pretty much all the time for Americans, as the Rangers are an excellent lead infantry that can help out at close range against Storm Pioneers and Obersoldaten. And the off-map scope barrage has an excellent ability to flank MGs, just blind ET guns, just a really good ability to prevent the enemy from hitting your own units. Rifleman shield defenses are very useful. If you have some extra munitions, you can plant down a lot of mines and make the life hell for the opponent, which is really something that the American regular roster lacks, as the rifleman nor your echelon can plant mines normally. Combined arms is an underrated, but still fairly useful if you have a lot of munition and ability that increases the fighting ability of vehicles and infantry when they're nearby. And the Pershing Heavy Tank is, of course, an excellent vehicle if you can use it correctly. It is a very dangerous to use vehicle, as it is a more of a medium than a heavy. As much as it's classified as a heavy tank, it really is even less tough than a Panther, for example. But its gun and speed and maneuverability are very excellent. Now we have a mine by Earth, going to be placed in a fairly interesting location, clearly meant to hit some infantry. Now I personally would have planted a mine over here, just to avoid any kind of early game vehicle trouble that the Americans might bring. We do have a captain here picked by CoHCast. Now he will definitely be going for a Stuart, I'm guessing. That's what definitely we'll be going for in this situation, because he really needs to be... Yep, he will supervise his own... looks like he will supervise something. He's supervising his barracks instead of his company command post. I would definitely use the captain, not now, but when I have enough resources for the Stuart, to supervise the company command post and bring up the Stuart that much quicker on the field. This is a nice little, neat little trick that not a lot of people know about, is that the captain with the supervise ability is really good at those timing units that you need to get them out as soon as possible, like shot units of the Stuart and the Sherman. So it is just a very nice help in getting those units out just a little bit faster, in case you don't need the captain for anti-vehicle. Of course, you will need the captain for anti-vehicle fairly soon, as we do have a flak half-track being produced by Earth. Earth going for a medical HQ at his base. This is an interesting location to put a medical HQ on this map, as being a very big map, this one for a 1v1, there's a lot more safe spots to put your battle group of headquarters in certain places. So it is not as risky as, for example, on Lost Collider or heck, even Favourable approach to put your medical HQ on the field. It is not very dangerous. It's a bit like Angerville, where there's a lot of nice spots where you can hide it, such as over here, even over here by the field point, where you can hide it in a pretty good position that's covered on many angles, and you can defend it very easily. Now we do have a flak captain pushing up, but there is a captain in the nice house, and we also have some veteran riflemen over here with anti-tank rifle grenades. They're going to be dealing a lot of damage, very close to going down with the flak half-track, but very nicely going to be escaping by pretty much a hair, and gonna be almost wiping out a rifleman squad. So a nice reversal by Earth. Nice reversal by CoHCast ambushing the flak half-track with his captain, but very good situation management by Earth. Gonna be pushing back the allied infantry a little bit, and also getting a nice harassment maneuver on the left side of the map with his spokesgrenadiers. Gonna be repulsed by some riflemen, but he managed to keep control of the fuel point for a fair bit of time, and as you can see, he does have twice as much fuel income right now as he does, as the American does. Soon enough, the Americans will regain their fuel point, but at the same time, this disruption has allowed the Germans a little bit of reprieve, as the American Stuart has been delayed, and also the fact that there were a lot of manpower losses in the last engagement for the Allies also is going to delay the Stuart by a little bit. We have a Ranger squad being called in, which will further add to the manpower hurt that the Americans are experiencing right now. He's probably going to be able to get out of Stuart at about his own 85 fuel count, or maybe 90. But yeah, the Stuart will still be a very dangerous unit, because it completely counters the flak half-track. And the only counters that are on the field are a few mines and one Panzerschreck. Earth definitely focusing on getting more mines and Panzerschreck upgrades, which might hurt him once the Stuart hits the field. We do have a Fallschirmjäger squad being called in at the cutoff house, which is definitely a good choice, as it will be able to deal a lot of damage from a secure position. Now, the Rangers are not being upgraded to Thompsons because there's not enough resources. A few bars were upgraded by CoHCast, which is definitely a good choice on his part, but the Thompson upgrade should definitely be his priority right now. These grenades will definitely not help with getting that Thompson upgrade out faster. Definitely should have been paying a little bit more attention to what these Fallschirmjägers were doing, and should have known that they were going to dodge the grenade fairly effortlessly. So, what's the situation going into pretty much the 10-minute mark? Now, we have Earth being in control of the VP lead, he's got a fair few. He's got 50 VP points on CoHCast. VP points is an interesting little unnecessary usage of a word, but I don't know. He's gonna have the lead on CoHCast for a while, but CoHCast is starting to enter the game where it enters the phase of the game where the Americans really start to become very dangerous to the OKW. The mid game for the Americans is very, very good thanks to the ERs and the light vehicles such as the Stuart and later on the Sherman. Yes, we consider the Sherman a little bit of a light vehicle because while it is a medium tank, in its usage that players use in this game, the usage that players make of the Sherman in this game are basically that of a light tank. People use it as a early game shock unit and harassment, anti-infantry type deal. Now, the Stuart has been taking a lot of hits by these Panzer tricks and has only managed to force back the A half-track and not kill it. Of course, the Stuart does do a lot of damage to the A half-track, but is not exactly the best. Nice skin, by the way. Doesn't have the exactly best anti-vehicle damage, so it is not going to be able to pretty much finish off the flak half-track, but it is going to be able to force it back and force it to play very safe. Now, nice move by CoHCast is going to finally make some harassment happen on the right side. He made a little bit of a nice move earlier on when he took the munitions point at the victory point from the enemy, and now he's going to be able to capitalize upon this and use his own rifleman to capture the fuel point. That is a very, very good choice by him, because it is going to allow him to delay the German vehicles by a little bit. We do have a Schwer Panzer headquarters by Earth. An interesting location. It is going to be vulnerable from AT guns placed around this road. So perhaps if I was him, I would have placed the Schwer Panzer headquarters as a base, just over here covering the sort of river area, the frozen river. Because if any kind of American vehicle attempts to chase his own units to the base, the frozen river will provide a formidable obstacle with the Schwer Panzer headquarters covering it, because of course the danger of sinkage, or sunkage? Sinkings? Yeah, sinkings. The very big danger that if there's a Panzer headquarters over here at the far side bank of the river, it's going to sink whatever units that come across, so it is always a nice place to put a Schwer if you have this feature available on the map. Now, we do have some rare echelons upgraded with minesweepers by CoHCast, which is definitely a wise decision, as we have seen that Earth is very keen on placing a few mines around the map. We do also see that Earth has finally managed to get a few Panzer Trek upgrades going on his infantry squads. Now, he does have a fortune meter and a nice bit of manpower float, so what I would be advising him to do is not get another infantry squad, because he's already got enough infantry. I would advise him to get either a support gun or a Kettenwerfer or both, because right now it is starting to devolve into that phase of the game when there's a lot more static lines of engagements. So the support gun would be very useful, especially against support weapons like this AT gun that CoHCast has just purchased. And also it would be very useful against these houses to dislodge the American infantry from the houses. American infantry is not exactly the best at long range, but once it gets BARs, it starts to become BARs of veterancy. It starts to become very dangerous in even these kinds of engagements. So definitely want to have some kind of counter ready. Now, we do have the Rangers being upgraded with Thompsons, but they're going to be standing at long range against Stern Pioneers, which is not exactly the best decision. As the Stern Pioneers, while they are a nice grenade, by the way, going to be dodged by Earth. Stern Pioneers, while they are a more close-range focused infantry unit, they will be fairly decent at mid and late ranges, especially against submachine gun infantry such as these Thompsons or the Papa Shahs of the shock troops. Now, the situation is still going fairly well for Earth. He's still got the VP lead, he's still got the resource lead. I'm very curious to see what he will be doing with this Schwer Panzer headquarters. I personally would go for a Panzer IV at this point, because the captain here usually does counter the Panzer IV fairly well, but with the way the game is developing, there's a lot of fighting going on pretty much all sides of the map. Having a harassment unit such as the Panzer IV, rather a counter-harassment unit such as the Panzer IV would be very useful for him at this point in the game, and it will also hard counter the Stuart. Now, I also do realize that the fact that there's Rangers on the field should probably rightfully scare Earth of possibility of it Pershing, because of course I do see that from my observer view that CoHCast has only got 7 CPs, but Earth is up to 8 CPs and three quarters of the way to 9 CPs. So it is perfectly reasonable for him to expect that CoHCast is around even 9.5 CPs because of all the fighting that's been going on. So the Pershing is not too far away, not too much of a specter that's far away, as much a very imminent danger for him. So Earth should definitely be looking to also arm up himself against the Pershing. Now, he is going to go for a Panzer IV, which is the correct decision, but the possibility of a Panther to repel any kind of Pershings is also fairly reasonable. Both sides of the argument have pretty good reasons to go either tank. Now, a lot of harassment has been going down by Earth on the left side of the map, which has been allowing him to have a superiority in fuel, which is definitely what will pretty much allow Earth to keep ahead in this game. Harassment is pretty much the name of the game in 1v1s. It is the most important aspect of the game, in my opinion, because as you're fighting something in some place, if you have good unit preservation, even if you lose some engagements in the main fight, you will still be able to just come back and replenish and have another attempt. But if you lose in the harassment game, in the long run, you will definitely lose out on resources and fees. Now, on the right side, the Americans are starting to make their own moves, which is definitely good. Now, the Americans are a little bit munition starved. As you can see, they have upgraded most of their infantry squads, but they've also still got some units that are left unupgraded. He's also got a lot of veterancy, which means that if he can preserve his units, he will be on par with the course of the German units, which will definitely be very important for him. Now, this captain is going to die fairly soon if he does not get out of this building. As you can see, it is in the red, and it will finally go. It will finally go out of the building from the back exit. So that's a fairly close call on the captain. We have an infantry unit being wiped out, likely on the south. Yes, we have a, looks like, what was this? I'm guessing these are just shots from the Panzerschreck blackening the earth around here, but unfortunately for the Americans, losing a veteran C2 rifleman squad with bars is really, really bad, of course. We also have CoHCast over here, pretty much throwing a Stuart away against the Panzer IV. Now, if I was the Panzer IV right now, I would chase because I'm a very aggressive player, but of course there's also the danger of it being some kind of trap. So Earth perhaps wisely not chasing it. I do believe he could have destroyed the Stuart, but I don't know. Now, on the right side of the map, we have a nice push by the Earth. Earth is going to regain the points that he lost earlier on. And I do believe that right now, he's really starting to skyrocket and take the lead in the game. We have a second Fallschirmjäger being spawned by him. He also went for a Raketenwerfer, which is definitely a good choice, as the Americans will be bringing out the Pershing soon enough. Now, what could the Americans be doing right now to rectify the situation? Now, definitely, perhaps concentrating their forces more would be important. As much as I love to say that harassment is very important, right now what the Americans really need to be doing is concentrating their forces who are inferior to the enemy and try to punch a hole through somewhere and keep hold up a little bit of territory, of just a few scraps. Because right now they have managed to regain their fuel point, but for how long I do not know, as there are already units from Earth approaching the area. And the Americans are in a bit of a predicament because they have lost most of their veteran units, and their Stuart is pretty much useless because of the Panzer IV. So perhaps also a little bit more aggressive usage of this AT gun would be good against this Panzer IV. And perhaps a few more bazookas from CoHCast would have been a good choice to counter this Panzer IV. Now, he's being pretty much choked, so it's really hard to, let me try to just phrase the sentence correctly, because it is kind of important that I get the point across. When you're in the pressure of just being pushed on all sides of the map and you're in a game, it is much more difficult to think of solutions to the problems that you're facing than if you're just commentating on replay. This is something that is, of course, very huge that a lot of commentators forget all the time, and it is something that will just kind of screw with you when you're commentating, because you kind of lose your grip on reality when you have the God mode view. Now, if it is very difficult, even for just a commentator who has the view of the entire map, to come up with a solution to a problem, just imagine how much stress is going through CoHCast right now. How much he's just like, yeah, what should I do right now? I'm kind of screwed. In fact, I'm frankly kind of surprised that he's not going to be just surrendering. He clearly is waiting for the Pershing and just wanting to throw all his eggs in the Pershing basket, which might work, to be fair. Ooh, Earth making a mistake. Earth making a big mistake, going for a second Panzer IV. You never go for a second Panzer IV as OKW. When you go Panzer IV, you then follow up immediately with either a Panther, a Jagdpanzer, or a King Tiger. In this situation, I would go for a King Tiger, just to seal the deal, because you have the opponent on your, pretty much on the ropes, and you have the fuel superiority, and you've had the fuel superiority for most of the game, so the King Tiger is a feasible option. But the Jagdpanzer and the Panther both are very good options as well. The Panther on a map like this, because of the lack of generic big line of sight zones, especially in the center of the map and on the right side. On the left side there's a lot of very big open space where the Jagdpanzer can shine, but in the center and the right side of the map, the Jagdpanzer does definitely suffer its turretlessness a little bit more than other tanks, because of the fact that, of course, there aren't many there are many vision blockers such as hedgerows and buildings. Now, the Panther is the solution to that, and he would have had the fuel for a Panther. The Panther costs 50 more fuel than the Panzer IV, so he would also have the manpower, the extra manpower. I do believe that is 100 extra manpower. No, 130 extra manpower. So Earth would have been able to bring out a Panther on the field at this point, which is definitely what I would have done if I was him. But it does look like a second Panzer IV would be good enough for the meantime. It is definitely better immediate short-term decision to get out a second Panzer IV. I'm just thinking more in the long-term area, because in the short term, Earth doesn't really need any help. He does have the advantage. As you can see, he was easily able to destroy the Stuart thanks to the support of his Panther, and so I really don't think that he really needs another Panther IV. Now, we also have a second Schwer, rather a second Wehrmachtschlepper half-track over here, and it was in a very precarious position. I'm not really sure what it was doing. Now, some riflemen were attempting to push up, and the rifle grenade unfortunately bugged, as you can see. And another infantry unit going down. Rangers on the left side of the map attempting some harassment move, but they're going to be probably wiped by the Volksgrenadiers and the A half-track, so I do believe this is over. We have the Pershing on the field by CoHCast, but he pretty much only have to rely on this unit to attempt to do something. So, talking about his mistakes, definitely a little bit unit preservation. Losing a few of his veteran riflemen were the main factor in his losing the game, but also a lack of harassment capabilities. The Germans definitely played a little bit better with harassment than the Americans, and because of this they had the resource superiority, especially in terms of well, yeah, in general they just had the unit superiority and the fuel superiority both, so that it was just a very bad situation for the Americans. And perhaps the excessive fighting over the center was also a little bit unwarranted for the American side. The center is really where you don't really have that much advantage as the Americans, whereas the flanks are a little bit better for flanking maneuvers. The Pershing is a very good unit, as I said, very fast, very maneuverable, very powerful with its main gun, but it is a very also weak for a heavy tank. Pretty much medium tank class, a little bit less armor than the little less armor than the Panther. Now this is a very interesting thing that he did. He shot with attack round at the building, or attack move at the building, to deny it from Fallschirmjägers, which is a very interesting move. Probably should have done it earlier. Probably should have placed down a few mines from his heavy cavalry company at the doorways of some houses, such as this one and this one, that are popular Farshmeager spawns. Also, to note this one as well as a popular Farshmeager spawn. So perhaps that would have allowed them to waste through the manpower that Earth was using. And I do believe that he will just surrender. He doesn't really have any options at this point. He will attempt to keep control of the center DP for a little while, but as you can see, there's really no quarter that Earth is giving him. He will not have the capabilities to survive much longer, and he will be sunk, probably. Yup. Sunk, even though he was gonna die anyway. We have the GG called by CoHCast. So this was a pretty interesting replay. Fast-paced 1v1, as always, very interesting to watch. So I want to thank her for tuning in the replay. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you learned something from this cast. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.